Hello, I'm Jake Hallingram. This is my review on the Avengers sequels. From Age of Ultron to Endgame. I'm reviewing all of the Avengers sequels in this video. I give a 8 out of 10. I give them a 8 out of 10. The Avengers sequels from Marvel Studios. Because I thought they were very good for what they were. Low-class comic book standards. I mean, standard entertainment. It's the Avengers sequels kind of feels like I can't help it feels like the mostly I feel like the Avengers sequels I feel like the Avengers sequels they like feel more like the sequels I feel like the sequels too have more characters, way too many characters, and that was kind of a problem. There was lots of characters in the first Avengers movie that could have gone more fleshed out for later sequels, but instead they kept on adding more and more characters for each sequel instead of fleshing out the the group that they had. Instead of expanding on it, it's just like because it's focused those characters on fleshing them out, but they went with expanding on the team with each installment, and this was after a certain point. Once it gets to Infinity War, there's like so many characters, the movie barely has time to flesh out any of them. So that's probably why it mostly gives Thanos it only gives Thanos a character arc because they probably don't know how to flesh out these main characters in Infinity War before killing them off, half of them, on the Avengers team that fight with the Avengers. Because the Avengers lose in Infinity War. And I couldn't help but feel like the sequels were kind of a mess from beginning to end. I really think the first Avengers movie at least had a 3-act structure to the movie, but I felt like the sequels, I don't know, I felt like there was no structure. So like there was no really a story. There was no really engaging stuff. I mean, there was lots of cool stuff and ideas and visuals and from into the midst, but I can't say I really was the Avengers sequels. They didn't focus as well on the Avengers that they could have flushed out, and what they did flush out and is the best sequel I think we got is Age of Ultron and Endgame. I think the worst one's Infinity War because it has so many characters. And there's little to no time to really get to flesh them out and give us a little update on what the other characters been up to. The recurring ones, or I don't know. The only really it's like it also doesn't like it doesn't like is this like because every character has been reduced to character. This guy who knows this guy who knows this guy. In Infinity War movie, it gets reduced to that. Explain characters becomes like explain like that. That's basically a 5-year-old playing with action figures. I know because I was that 5-year-old playing with action figures. With my action figures at 5. This That's what Infinity War feels like. It feels like a toy commercial. Now I know why I wish it was better. It feels like the modern Batman and Robin movie with George Clooney, but more bloated, with more bloated amounts of characters. Infinity War feels that kind of a magical pain in the neck of a movie to watch, with cringe amounts of dialogue and ideas thrown into this, with some visual stuttings and stuff thrown into this as some, it's come to my attention that I think I have mixed feelings about this movie, Infinity War. Especially it was almost all the sequels to Avengers sequels. And, that's kind of why also I'm giving them for these reasons alone, I'm giving them all the 3 Avengers sequels. With the Avengers, I give all 3 Avengers sequels a 8 out of 10. It is very good for what it is. Cheap entertainment. Low class, cheap entertainment. It feels like B-movie, like the Jaws sequels. 2 Jaws, all of them. The writing in the Avengers sequels and ideas thrown into the mix was everything. Because that's what feels like, everything's in the blender of ideas. For jokes, stories, whatever. I just don't know why these movies had to be made. I kind of wish they stopped. And then made sequels to the first Avengers movie. But that's just what I think. I wish they stopped at the first one. And that's why I give this movie's a 8 out of 10. And I'm reviewing now the Marvel Thor sequels to Thor from 2011. I give the Thor sequels a 8 out of 10. Because while the Dark World didn't rot my brain completely, like Taika Waititi's reimagining of Thor, I do think Thor the Dark was a better movie than Thor Ragnarok or Love and Thunder. But I'll be honest with you, I thought the character Thor became too comedic in the Thor movie of Thor the Dark World by the time the second Thor movie came out. Yeah, I noticed that, like, I just thought the jokes were kind of it's not a lot of the jokes. This movie's funny. It has more jokes than the first one. However, the jokes don't hit it as home run like the first one as often. Jokes. Where's the 2011 first Thor movie? You know how the 2000 Thor movie had better jokes that hit more home run even though there were less in them? You would think that, instead of writing more jokes, they would just write better jokes for the Thor sequels. But no, they think that the amount of jokes is better, not the quality you put into the joke writing. Of course. I don't know. I'm not someone that makes jokes. I'm not a comedian that goes on writing, so I'm just guessing that that's what the writers must have thought to themselves when they were making the Thor movie, The Dark World. And also the villain Malekith is kind of wasted in The Dark World. But then again, the villain Hela and Gore the God Butcher get wasted, and the sequels to Thor even more shame, even more, I guess, more pathetic. Where she's in sequels installment to Thor of the villains getting wasted and being pathetic and easily defeated by the plot saying so to kill them off, instead of saving them for a future installment. Losers do that. Comic book people who love Marvel comic books, who write Marvel comics. I think that writing should not be applied to filmmaking, because Marvel Studios did never apply that writing to filmmaking of saving villains for future reference. No, they just applied the writing as in kill all the villains off with the first outing. That's not Loki. Or Thanos. Well, they killed him off in Endgame. In the opening of Endgame. And the great thing about that is the movie seems to drive itself into a corner. So it doesn't know what else to focus on to drive the plot. So it has a bunch of gags and comedic characters in Endgame thrown into this, like animated shit. Like that. God, I miss the days of Batman and Robin. George Clooney's Batman and Robin should have gone as a sequel. Ever got to see what's we keep getting sequels to these Avengers. The only one that I liked is the first one. It's all downhill after the sequels. Like, they just decline in quality. It's like, and the pacing gets more slower, which is strange because it has more characters in each installment. It was the exception of Endgame. Because they lost half the characters, so then the characters come back at the end for the final battle against Thanos' army. Have to get snapped back into reality, and then so that's in the end of the Endgame. I know they said Thanos is got killed in the Endgame, but complicated. Basically, this Thanos and his army is from an alternate timeline, was due to Avengers time traveling and meddling with time travel to try to save everybody and bring them back from the dead. Was the power of the Infinity Stones and their version of the Infinity Gauntlet. And yeah, look, I thought the first these Avengers movies were 8 out of 10. The four sequels to Thor. No, wait, that's 3 sequels to Thor. But the 4 Thor movies to Thor in the franchise I'm only reviewing the sequels in this video also to Thor, besides Avengers. I give the Thor movies a 8 out of 10. Pretty much for the same reason I gave Avengers Endgame an 8 out of 10. I kind of don't see that much difference between George Clooney's era of Batman between Avengers Endgame era. Both movies are comedies. Both movies have tons of bad, flat humor that seem dated. Dad jokes, you know, or grandpa jokes, whatever you want to call them, that don't really hit home run, is what the Avengers sequels and Thor sequels are filled of. Jokes per minute. And it gets old a bit after a while. So that's why I give the Thor movies, sequels, and the Avengers sequels a 8 out of 10, all of them. I give this video a thumbs up, and hit the subscribe button, and hit the comment below. Let me know what you thought of this. Any of these movies for yourself, would you've seen it on my audience for what? I don't know. How did did this video went on too long for you guys? I don't know. I hope I didn't overstay. I hope I didn't lost your attention. Okay. So that's my review on the Thor sequels and the Avengers sequels. I want to give them an 8 out of 10. Both franchise. Goodbye.